It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend. Just me, my cousin, and two of our friends, 4 guys in our 20s, camping out in the northern woods of Oregon. No cell service, no distractions, just firewood, beer, and the sound of nature. We had all been looking forward to it for weeks. Life had been stressful, work, relationships, and all the noise of the city. So we figured a weekend out in the wilderness would be the perfect escape. The plan was simple: hike in deep, find a quiet place, and spend 2 nights under the stars. We set up camp near a small river about 2 miles off the nearest trail. The walk there wasn't easy. The brush was thick, and the further we went, the quieter everything got. No birds, no rustling, just our footsteps crunching dead leaves. That should have been a red flag. But back then, we thought it was peaceful. By late afternoon, we had pitched our tents and built a decent fire pit. The river beside us was shallow and cold, perfect for rinsing off and cooling down. That first evening felt exactly how we imagined it: calm, isolated, and kind of magical. As night fell, the fire crackled while we sat around it, drinking cheap beer and telling dumb stories from high school. We roasted marshmallows, took turns trying to scare each other with made-up ghost stories, and stared up at the stars. No phone signal, no buzzing notifications, just us and the forest. We passed out around 1 a.m., exhausted and relaxed. That was the last normal thing that happened. Around 3:30 in the morning, I woke up. At first, I wasn't sure why. I didn't hear anything specific. Just that strange feeling you get when your body knows something's off. I lay still, eyes open in the dark, until I heard it. The soft cracking of sticks. It was faint but close. I assumed it was an animal, probably a raccoon, maybe even a deer stepping through the woods. But then, I heard footsteps, not running, not scampering, slow, measured, human-like. They circled the tents, once, then again, then a third time. That was the moment my heart dropped. I whispered my cousin's name and he responded instantly. He was already awake. So were the others. None of us moved. We just lay there holding our breath, trying to listen. No one brought a gun. We weren't those kinds of campers. We had a hatchet for wood and 1 pocket knife. That's it. Then it stopped. No more steps, no wind. Even the trees seemed frozen. We stayed still for what felt like an hour, maybe more. Nobody wanted to speak. The silence was unbearable. No crickets, no owls. Just the kind of quiet that feels wrong. When the first light crept through the treetops, we finally stepped outside. We looked around, bleary-eyed and tense, and that's when we saw them. Footprints in the dirt. Barefoot. Large. They didn't lead in from the trail. They weren't part of our own prints. And they didn't walk away. The tracks stopped behind a tree, just a few feet from my tent. And that was it. No prints leading away. We stood there in silence, each of us scanning the woods like something might be watching us from behind the trees. Eventually, someone joked that maybe one of us did it as a prank. But no one laughed, and no one admitted to it. Besides, the prints were way too big for any of us. We tried to distract ourselves during the day. We grabbed our fishing poles and headed to the stream. But it was no use. None of us could really focus. The feeling that we weren't alone just wouldn't go away. When we got back to camp in the evening, we found something else. Our tents had been unzipped, not slashed, not torn open, just unzipped, quietly, cleanly. At first, we thought maybe we forgot to close them, but I clearly remembered zipping mine shut before we left. I even joked about how many mosquitoes would get in if I didn't. Nothing was missing. Nothing was even moved. It was like someone or something had just looked around and left. That night, we didn't joke. We didn't drink. We just sat around the fire with flashlights nearby and weapons, if you can call a hatchet a weapon, within reach. At exactly 2:11 a.m., I woke up again. This time, I wasn't the only one. There was a voice outside the tent, but it wasn't speaking English. It wasn't a language I knew at all. It sounded wrong, like a recording being played backward, or someone imitating speech without knowing how words are supposed to sound. I sat frozen, barely breathing. The voice drifted from one side of the camp to the other, like it was pacing, whispering something over and over. And then, silence. I slowly reached for my flashlight and unzipped the tent as quietly as I could. There was nothing there, no figure, no movement, just cold air and the smell of smoke from our fire, now almost out. But right outside the tent was a pile of stones, stacked perfectly, balanced like a totem, that hadn't been there earlier. We didn't sleep for the rest of the night. We sat by the fire with our backs